Welcome to this discussion about leadership in Framatome. I'm Dan Radcliffe, and I'll be your presenter. Let's begin. To tell you a little about myself, I am currently studying at the University of Arizona Global Campus to earn a Bachelor's of Science degree in Project Management. I have worked with Framatome for over 20 years, performing various jobs that support nuclear power. I currently travel 6 months of every year to support power plants during outages, and I do repairs on components and fuel assemblies that are used with nuclear reactors. The topic of my research is the value of leadership in the nuclear power industry, particularly with Framatome. For the past decade, the nuclear industry has been dealing with a growing deficit between the demand for skilled tradesmen and experts and the numbers of people available to fill that demand. The professional culture for workers in the industry has grown soft, and many workers have been allowed to grow complacent with their positions in the industry. To correct this trend, a new culture of transformational leadership must be grown at every level of the organizations that work in the industry. This growth process must begin with the top leaders, who will have to inspire their teams to foster leadership development and the desire to learn with every worker. With enough consistent effort and time, new generations of leaders proficient enough to support and build on the nuclear industry will be able to carry future generations on a path of progress and prosperity. Framatome has been one of the top competitors in nuclear power operations and services for over 60 years. They have facilities and teams stationed around the globe and can deliver all of the services necessary to ensure plants operate safely and efficiently. During my research for a leadership class, I had a chance to interview Bernard Fontana and discuss leadership strategy. Mr. Fontana is CEO of Framatome in France, home of their corporate headquarters. He has had plenty of experience in this role with Holcim and ArcelorMittal. He entered his CEO position at Framatome as they were in a financial crisis. New plant projects in Europe had gone over budget for various reasons. There were a number of budget overruns in other areas as well. In the years that followed, Mr. Fontana led the entire organization through an intense period of restructuring and cultural change. In the interview, he stated 3 leadership strategies that were instrumental in building Framatome back up to its current position. Leaders must exemplify the values they expect their teams to follow. They must clearly establish and communicate plans and inspire teams to take charge of them. Strong, confident leaders can challenge followers to push past their comfort zones, help them learn from mistakes, and seek continuous improvement. Many of the managers, technicians, engineers, and other experts that hold the majority of knowledge about the nuclear industry are reaching retirement age. The industry needs new generations to take up the mantle, but there is a deficit between the old generations and the new for knowledge and experience that can only be learned on the job. One reason for this deficit is the tendency of institutions to place college degrees on a higher pedestal than industrial trades. New generations are not aware of the benefits and pay earned by welders, machinists, equipment technicians, pipe fitters, carpenters, and dozens of other fields. The majority of the industry still lacks a growth culture. As much as safety and professional conduct are driven by managers, the areas of critical thought, continuous improvement, and personal development deserve more attention. Another trend that is threatening the future of nuclear power is the negative perception that is still held by the general public. There has been plenty of attention given to the few disasters in the industry, but not enough to the actual safety records and environmental benefits of nuclear power. By comparison to other energy sources, nuclear power is one of the cleanest sources to operate and has far less accidents and deaths than most other sources. Another common misconception is that nuclear power is not used by everyone. Around the globe, at any given time, consumers use electricity. That electricity is generated by numerous sources that are connected to a national power grid. For more than half of the countries around the world, at least 10% of that power comes from nuclear power plants. Every nuclear power plant has to be shut down for maintenance. During these times, hundreds of workers will go to work on them. Those teams need strong, competent leadership to work together, follow a schedule, and complete their tasks safely and efficiently. Professor John P. Kotter of the Harvard Business School has developed 8 factors that are common among leaders that have been successful in transforming their organizations. In the interview, Mr. Fontana compared his leadership style with Kotter's model and found some similarities. He expressed that the sense of urgency was already present within Framatome's ranks when he took on his role as CEO. The company was facing bankruptcy. He used that urgency to drive teams to push forward, achieving organizational goals. This drive to save the company helped teams to generate short-term wins, which Mr. Fontana used to reward and motivate teams to improve and push their success even further. On sustaining acceleration, Framatome was already on a good path to recovering financially. Then the COVID-19 pandemic brought a new wave of challenges to gaining contracts and supporting them. Initially, customers pushed back contract dates to wait out the first wave of COVID. After 6 months of waiting, the contracts for maintenance on power plants became unavoidable and brought an influx of revenues which Framatome used to expand and improve their workforce. Under Mr. Fontana's guidance, Framatome embraced a culture of change and improvement, which has brought the company back to the forefront of the nuclear power industry. Every worker adds value to the nuclear power industry, but it takes effective leaders to maximize that value. Power plant outages can have dozens of teams working together, and that requires leadership and coordination. The development of a more capable fleet of reactors and the teams to work on them will depend heavily upon these leaders. This concludes my presentation. If you are interested, I have more materials that I have developed for various research projects during my studies at University of Arizona. I always enjoy discussing the value and the future of nuclear power. If you have any questions or wish to discuss the topic further, please email me and I will look forward to our discussion. Thank you for your time.